Hi, welcome to our interview with author David Brier. I'm your host, Lori Crever. David's with us today to talk about his book, Defying Gravity and Rising Above the Noise. David, thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lori.
So, David, you are a brand identity expert, but you started your career as an artist or a fine artist. Tell us about that.
Well, I did start as an illustrator because I grew up in New York. Okay, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, then Long Island, and then Manhattan. And I ended up in my last semester of college, I saw a publication that no longer exists, but it was called at the time upper and lowercase, and with the letters U and LC, right? Upper and lowercase, referring to letter forms, upper and lowercase. It was designed by a designer at the time. His name is Herb Lubalin. He was a god. He blew my eye. Up till that time, I was, really working on my craft as a designer, not a designer, actually as an illustrator.
Illustrator.
And because I came from the fine arts side, I actually started with drawing, life drawing, oil paintings, etc. Then I started to morph into being an illustrator with the idea I had my sights to sit on, I want to do illustrations that'll show up in Rolling Stone magazine and Esquire magazine and this and that, the other, because, that was great. But I never had seen design done with such craftsmanship, such discipline, such attention to detail, and utilizing everything. Letters and the use of type was not just sort of something that you had done to inform. It was part of the experience for the viewer. And it was literally at that moment in my last semester that I decided I was going to be a designer going forward, because I didn't want to subject my creations to someone just sort of taking something like Helvetica and lime green and splattering it just randomly on this
Helvetica,
thing.
the font type?
The font, yes. Yes, some of the viewers may know that as Arial. Okay. Because a version of Helvetica became Arial.
All right.
On a lot of computers. So if you know Arial, A-R-I-A-L.
It's a Helvetica derivative, you're saying.
It is a Helvetica derivative. Exactly.
All right, so you started out in New York,
yep.
And you designed, to me it's very iconic, a real famous logo, the signature for the Revlon perfume, Charlie.
Exactly.
Tell us about that.
Well, at the time, Revlon was going through, they're going through sort of updating their iconic brand, and I was brought in to sort of help with that evolution. Mm-hmm. And gosh, this was early on. It was interesting because when you start out in any career, you always, I would suspect that everybody starts out with the goal of changing the world.
Absolutely.
Completely blind ambition.
Especially as an artist.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, the idea that anything couldn't be done was not even a remote possibility.
Not in your vocabulary.
No. So, it's funny because I now look at things, I had published, by the time I was 22, I had published a magazine that I created called Graphic Relief, which was designed for the industry. So there's a whole, I look back and say, what was I thinking? How did I?
Publish a magazine?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Anyway.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, doesn't everybody? Come on, come on, it's dinner time. Don't we have another issue? But anyway, so Charlie perfume also did work for Estee Lauder, but Charlie was kind of a nice point. But also the New York City Ballet logo was another one that I really enjoyed. Those, because those are a couple of, Revlon is for anybody that's in New York. It's sort of an institution. There are certain brands that are very sort of metropolitan and very New York-ish. New York City Ballet, of course, is extremely New York-ish, and that logo is one of the all-time favorites that people have loved over the years. Yes,
and we had a conversation about that New York City Ballet logo that you said it was something that would communicate across cultures, even if the recipient was not an English speaker.
That's exactly right. And because I've spoken in Russia, and I've actually had different individuals from different nationalities look at it, and it's an immediate communication. You don't have to know what the words are. The words are almost. It's kind of like a table. It doesn't matter if the drapery and everything. If you know the origin, if you have any orientation, you'll know what it's communicating to you. So yeah, it just totally bypassed the need for having to read it.
am imagining that in your line of work, because you're always working with such a breadth of clientele, that part of your role is probably to educate them a bit on what is brand, what is brand identity. What are some of the hallmark aha moments that your clients have?
Well, one is the fact that oftentimes there's still the idea that branding is a cosmetic exercise.
Yes.
That it's not. That it's sort of like
superficial.
Can we lay this out better? Can we make it look better? You know,
right. What color is that? Can we
exactly
change the shade a little?
And that's one of the first things we have to strip away, because branding really, in essence, it really is the art of differentiation. Oh. That's what branding really is. Branding. You know, how do you and I, when we're looking for something, if we're looking for shoes or a car or something for the house or whatever, how do you and I know that that brand is the one that speaks me, that gets me? You know, and how do I know that one as distinct from any other one? So that's the first sort of point where people go, because you know, you look at, if I were to say to you, you know, Apple, you know, as far as the computer, you wouldn't confuse it with Dell or Windows or this, that, the other. Their ads, their products are so distinctly them. It's all so beautifully integrated. And well-done brands will achieve that. They will achieve that wonderful singularity where you recognize them, you know, as being distinct. You even take, you know, another example would be, let's say you take vacuum cleaners. Until, I don't know, maybe about, let's say 10, 12 years ago, vacuum cleaners were vacuum cleaners, and everybody was kind of doing their own thing. And along comes Dyson.
Oh yeah, the designer with there's a ball.
Yeah, there's the ball, and they have the whole little siphoning, and the whole thing is like, he basically said, look, you know, why is it that vacuum cleaners have to basically lose suction? He didn't stop at the point of complacency, didn't stop at, he actually continued to ask why. The great brands always ask why. Why are we doing that? Or why can't we do that? Or why isn't anyone doing that? Why? And when you can dig beneath that, you'll actually come up with some amazing discoveries. So that's one place. That's
really high level. That's really sophisticated thought process, because I would think most people, especially let's say if they're starting a small business or they're very entrepreneurial, if one was going to get into the coffee business, for instance, I would think that the first exercise an entrepreneur would do would be to study up what's going on in coffee so that they can join the coffee business. Almost, I'm picturing almost like a track. And so there's already runners on the track, and so your first instinct might be to just set yourself at a pace with everyone on the track. But you're saying that is the most costly mistake that a business can make. It is, and you know why is because, and this is actually a point that's covered in the book. It's the failure to distinguish and really understand that what you're selling as a company, and you know what you're making, what you're selling, is not what people are buying. That there's actually a dividing line. For example, you know, Nike. Let's talk about, now if I came to you and I said, hey, you want some synthetic and rubber to put around your feet? Right. I know you're all over it. It's like, not attractive.
Can I write the check right now? You know,
right, not for
so
$80
Who
for
cares?
shoes.
Exactly.
Right.
But if I actually painted the picture and the dream and the aspiration of being an Olympic, you know, athlete, being a gold medal winner, being able to fly in the sky endlessly, defying gravity. Yeah, defying gravity. Defying gravity. Rising above the noise. Exactly. But if you were to achieve that, you know, what was the glimmer that why would kids pay $140 for a pair of sneakers? Because they were hoping to be the next Michael Jordan. Yeah. Or the next Olympic. That's a great brand. That is a wonderful brand. I think they do a fantastic job marketing to women. When you say Nike, I also consider Just Do It. Completely, right? Completely. And thinking through, I mean, many different things come up during your day, and you feel fear or complacency. And I think about that Nike slogan, I think, well, just do it. And so if you had those shoes, I would think as a consumer, well, that will help me to be more of a just do it person. So maybe that's what I'm buying, to answer your question. Well, true. Well, exactly. But take that a little further, and it may not be the way business owners or CEOs or managers immediately sort of default in the way that they think, but it is so fundamental and so key. That Just Do It was brilliant, was that it appealed to the 80-year-old as it did to the 8-year-old. It didn't matter whether you walked a minute a day, you ran 5 miles a day, or you were training for the Olympics. Just Do It was on your terms, and it just kind of just cut through the everything, all the excuses and all the this and all the that and the procrastination, and it just made you go, yeah, okay. I mean, and that's one of the fun things that we we did that just as an example. Like with the legacy chocolates, which is in here.
Let's talk about chocolates.
And for your listening audience, if you are in the middle, wherever the camera is looking at me, if you are in the middle of having dinner, finish your vegetables, please, and then you can indulge.
And then indulge.
But
this is a great story. Yes, let's talk about legacy chocolates.
The basic thing with legacy was
great product, right?
Fabulous product.
Great product.
Fabulous product.
You got to have that. You can't shortchange that.
No. But you know, the interesting thing is that why can inferior products outperform superior products? That's something that comes down to branding. Now, if you happen to have a good, terrific, or great product, and you're not doing it the service to actually have corresponding branding that truly does elevate it and achieves that necessary differentiation, you're completely doing it a disservice, and you're spending. It's heartbreaking. You know, especially when you have an inferior product that is absolutely just outselling you tremendously. That's heartbreaking. Why is that? Because, well, they got the branding part down and you don't. That's a shame. But the thing is, we're
going to change that.
We're
correcting that
right now.
Right now.
Right now. Right here. We're ready to rumble. Now, here's the thing. But just as a point, with one of the language points, because the language is a fun tool. In addition to the design and the aesthetic and how it's presented, but you know, chocolate. People who are passionate and love chocolate, you can do anything. You can insult them. You can burn down their house. But don't you touch their chocolate. Oh,
that is so true.
Don't you touch your chocolate. So one of the things that we came up with, one of the lines we developed was, may cause chocolate envy, share responsibly. And anybody who loves chocolate says, that's right, that is my box. There's a restraining order, 10 feet. You go within that.
Stay away from the box.
but legacy, you know, a terrific product.
But you know what? I have to say, it's a great riff on, you know, alcohol, right? Of the share responsibly, you know, like drink responsibly.
Totally.
People that are really into chocolate, it can reach addictive proportions.
Well, I never.
So you're playing into that, but in a very playful way.
Totally.
I like that.
But I never eat chocolate and then drive. I mean, I always have a designated driver. I mean, that's just the way. That's the way I roll. But the thing with legacy was this. You know, terrific neighborhood, maybe more than a neighborhood. It was sort of a regional institution, but it kind of had reached a point that they were wondering, you know, what do we do to raise it to the next level? And what was exciting was we did a little analysis to really dig deep and find out, you know, what were people really buying when they were buying that. We looked at certain qualities. We looked at, you know, what were the sort of great hallmarks of chocolate or quality food, because foodies, that's its own culture, that's its own tribe.
This sounds like a very trying assignment for you and your
You have
firm.
no idea. I aged 15 years in those few months.
This is sacrifice.
It's true. It's true.
Thank you so much for coming in. This is Lori Crever signing off from our interview with brand identity expert David Brier, inviting you to read a book. It could change your life, and let's encourage our children to do the same.